Hey, what's up, everybody? Bdf coming at you with another video. All right, so I swear to you, turning on this camera, I was saying, help me figure out what to say here, God, because with everything going on in the world, I honestly always have something to say, but today I just want to make sure I'm a little more responsible than I often am with my voice. I tend to let myself go and say whatever I want to say, and I've been paying attention to a lot of people doing that, and they've been making a lot of mistakes. Me personally, I don't feel like there's a whole lot that I can say wrong because I'm not contractually obligated to say anything, nor am I in a space where I feel like a million people are watching me every day. So who knows who's all listening? I mean, you never really know, but with the fact that I have a small following, I just feel like I could be a bit more lax with what I have to say and my tone and different things about conversations that tend to be a bit more sensitive than I often allow them to be considered on this channel. And I am what I am, I'm very honest, very open. And a lot of what it is that is going on right now is not new to our channel and our conversations. The ICE conversation, the Gaza conversation, the flotilla boat conversation. We've been talking about a lot of this stuff, for a while. So I just think it's been so much that's going on, especially in my city with everything that's happening. One just has to wonder what's next. One has to wonder where our place is in it. One has to wonder what is in the immediate future. So I don't know, man. I just try to use my voice to raise awareness, try to use my prayers to connect with God, to make sure my voice is responsible, and then just live my life, man. But my city is in a lot of pain right now, and a lot of people that I care a lot about are affected by this. And we just, in these times, we just understand that the thing that's going to keep us united is understanding one another and trying our best to understand one another's humanity and differences in cultures, and to remember that there's always going to be some entity out there looking to make us separate, make us think the worst of people who don't look like us or who may not relate to us. And it could drive us into a hateful space, which is very manipulatable, and is exactly what the enemy, in the various forms that it exists, wants us to be about, to separation and hate and prejudice, bigotry, and alignment with tribalism that separates us even further from one another, and into spaces where myths are adapted to as fact, and pessimism is embraced as if it's religious. And so that's what I want to say. When I look at what's going on out there, I feel like it's very easy to start being mad at people and team up with people that look like you and just think that you got friends and enemies and that's it. But the reality is we're dealing with mindsets. The reality is that there are people out there who look just like me, who don't want me to succeed, and they got people who I think are from places where nobody likes me, who are rooting for my success and praying for my success. So it's not as simple as the enemy would like us to believe it is. It's not as simple as maybe we are being raised in this society, America, to believe that it is. And what is simple is what there is to see. What I see is people being treated poorly behind the drawn line of law, a drawn line that can be erased and redrawn at a different space, i.e., if that's the right way to put this, moving the goalposts. And I just think that there are a lot of people who hide behind those lines or stand behind those lines while representing sheer and utter callousness toward other people, other cultures, other races. And you say, well, you got to follow the law. But what you're actually saying is, I'm pleased to see you suffer. And I'm very pleased that it's written in the law. That's what a lot of people's mindsets are about today. You don't have your paperwork. It takes 25 years for some people to get their paperwork. You don't care that these people may be trying to get their paperwork or may be running from something that is really terrifying to them. You don't realize in a lot of cases, if you're on that side of the conversation, that a lot of these people really do contribute to the overall lives of citizens in the places that they lived in, that they're not a nuisance or a burden or an infestation like it's been articulated. I think it's one of the most difficult things as a black person to hear being spoke of in regards to anybody, that their humanity is a burden to other human beings, or that their presence is like an infestation of rats or roaches, because people spoke that way about my people. And though they don't use that jargon anymore, still very much think that way about myself and my people. So to hear them say it about others is triggering. To see that be what's understood to be acceptable is very insulting. And I think it's meant to be that. And I grew up in Los Angeles. And I've lived in Los Angeles my entire life. I've never really left Los Angeles as it pertains to where I've lived. Different parts of LA, but I ain't never lived nowhere else. And so to say that people that I've known my entire life, people who've been here longer than I've been alive, in some cases, are a burden to people that aren't anywhere near us. And because those people's opinions, the people that I've known my whole life, need to leave because of somebody somewhere else who has a perception of these people without meeting anybody from this community, these communities, is so enriched in the reality of their own hatred and the beliefs of myths and propaganda, that they trying to move my neighbors away from my life to make them feel comfortable, sometimes over 1,000 miles away, when they aren't surrounded by any of these people. That's the part that a lot of us Angelenos are having a hard time with. You got people who ain't nowhere near us telling us the people who are close to us need to go away so that they can feel better. So they can feel as if they have a chance that maybe they don't feel they have. A chance to do what? I don't know. That's the part that confuses the heck out of me. I really don't know what these people think they're going to get by sending other people away. I don't get it. What comes of it for you? Y'all talk about y'all borders and y'all safety. Ain't nobody coming for you. The only thing that makes you unsafe is your ideologies that make people hate you, that make people feel threatened by you. That's what makes you unsafe. It's the enemies that you create by believing and acting upon this ideology. That's what makes you unsafe. Otherwise, no one's even paying attention to you. Until you bring up the need to tread on others, to make yourself feel safe, then you become unsafe. There's many people out there who don't do nothing but insult and try to make people's lives a little bit harder, try to make people's lives a little more uncomfortable, try to invoke anxiety and fear and displacement and all different types of things into other people's lives. They don't do nothing but those things that only inspire vitriol and anger pointed at them. And then we'll say that they're doing these things because they want to be safe. That's the part that I think is really difficult to wrap your head around when trying to consider the intellect of those who harbor these ideals, these ideologies. So you think what's going to make you safe is angering and traumatizing and hurting people? That's what makes you feel safe, is making enemies? And that they can't see that angle, or that they ignore that angle when trying to convince all of us that's their motivation. It's rather frustrating when you really when you sit on my side of the fence and looking at all this. If you just leave people alone, you are safe. If you just let people be who they are instead of trying to tread on them, you don't have nobody looking to go after you at all, but one another, because that's all that's around you. It's one another in a lot of these cases when people are so vehement about moving other people out of where they belong. It's usually people who ain't surrounded by nobody but people that look just like them. They want to move everybody else somewhere else, away from people that welcome them. And that's the part that I want people to understand. You telling me that we supposed to be pushing people away from us for people who are nowhere near us? That's what I want America to really, really grasp, and the world who's paying attention to this to really grasp, man. Where these people are that they want to deport are nowhere near the people who think it's so important that they be deported. Nowhere near these people. With respect to people moving around all over the place in different cases where certain things will be an outlier to where a stereotype may be true or a circumstance may be true, when you look at the grand majority of what it is that's being pushed on this situation, it ain't by the people next to the people that's being affected by this. They not here. They call us a sanctuary state. It's not a sanctuary state. This is Mexico. It's the same land. You drew another imaginary line, just like you do with all your laws that y'all be moving. You drew an imaginary line on attached land. Land that you stole. Land that you used them and us to build for you. And now you're telling all of us that we got to separate people, families. We got to not only separate them, but we got to engage in very, very traumatic practices to be effective in doing so. But people want us to not be up in arms about the practices of slavery that invoke some of these same practices and same psychological damaging applications of treatment. You sell families away from one another at random. You're like a thief in the night, separating mothers from babies and fathers from babies and all different types of stuff that y'all used to do to black people, only to turn around in 2025 and do the same thing to Hispanic people. I mean, it's just like, yo, at some point in time, you're gonna have to embody what comes of this reputation. You're gonna have to embrace the reputation that comes with this continuous practice, colonial practice. Your reputation is already bad, but it's only getting reinforced by more of the same. And the problem is people have already lived through a lot of this. We've seen a lot of this. We've been through the civil rights. We've been through different types of rioting and different things like this. We've been asking for years for not only equality amongst some people, but equality amongst all people. We have worked so many different progressions into our circumference so that we can live amongst one another, only to have people that are nowhere near us purposefully insert their ignorance and their power into the equation to deteriorate what we've worked so hard to achieve in solidarity. And then think they're cleaning up the country. You're not cleaning up the country. The terrorists are the people who are trying to divide individuals, not the individuals who didn't stand properly behind the imaginary drawn line of law. That's not what determines a person's eligibility to be amongst human beings, not if we're trying to stay alive. They are bigger fish to fry than pushing people away They're bigger fish to fry than creating enemies by traumatizing families. They're bigger fish. You got other things to consider. And I assure you, man, a good portion of the people who are pushing for this don't know anybody who's affected by this. Because if you were raised around the people that I was raised around, you wouldn't be offended or concerned or feel like it's an infestation or anything like that. Unless you were raised in specific neighborhoods where specific cultures have a lot of toxicity, which is also influenced by a system that is above them, that is looking to keep those wars going. Then in a lot of cases, yeah, you're gonna have some points of views that I don't share. But I'm from this city, and I am a civilian. I don't have any enemies that don't look like me, nor do I have any enemies that look like me. And I've lived in this city for 40 years. 41 in August. I spent a whole lifetime surrounded by people that didn't look like me. And I ain't had too many bad days in their presence. They have enhanced my life. They have contributed to my community in ways that the people who are trying to push them away have not. When you talk about moving away all the people who speak Spanish, you're getting rid of probably 70% of the people that I've ever known or seen in my country, my city. So that you can what exactly? Feel better several thousand miles away, where ain't nobody or from these communities actually bumping elbows with you for you to know or not know if you're actually at risk. You are afraid of what you don't understand, just like so many other applications of human beings when you think like this. But if you did understand them, you'd understand why the people who are actually surrounded by these people are not afraid. No more than what is necessary based on certain cultures that also are influenced by racism in a lot of cases. There are always good and bad in every community. There's always people who are looking to do things they ain't got no business in doing in each community. And it is incumbent upon all of us to protect ourselves from those individuals. But to start roping everybody together, collective punishment, thinking you cleaning something up by creating people who are angry and unhappy and traumatized by our ideologies and our laws, you think that's gonna make your life better? You think that's gonna keep people off of you or keep people away from you that you want away from you? By angering them, I just need somebody who's trying to push this propaganda to address what it is I'm saying. Are you not aware that you are angering people? You're angering people. Are you not aware that angering people brings about the lack of safety that you're concerned with? And if this is your intended purpose and will, then you got to understand that your jargon that you talk about in regards to wanting things to be safe and cleaning up the streets doesn't align with that when people who you're trying to convince are looking at it. We don't see it. I don't see that. I don't see how this is making you safer. I certainly don't think it's making me safer. I don't think it makes these cops that y'all love so much safer. I don't think it makes our soldiers safer when they're deployed to our city. I don't think this provoking people and traumatizing people who are already desperate in a lot of cases brings about anything peaceful at all, anything compliant at all. All it does is create the desire for insurrection, for which is natural when people are being mistreated. Are we not acknowledging that mistreatment is what inspires insurrection? And look, this is me digging a little deeper. As you guys often know, we never separate these conversations. There's no reason to separate these conversations. when you allow a society somewhere far away who has all the power in the world to influence the way you treat your own people, or dare I say dictate how you treat your own people, and their intention is to mistreat people, to exalt themselves, you're going to get consequences on a grander scale than what it is they're going to receive. If you want to tear your country up, this is a good way to do it. Because there in the Middle East, where they're doing this, that place in its entirety is probably about as big as California, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. This is 50 times that, so to speak. The land and then the spread out in the population, 50 times that, so to speak. So I ask you, are you sure what works over there is going to work over here? Where you at? Are you sure what works over there is going to work over here? That's all I'm asking. Are you sure what works over there is going to work over here? I done already got hit by that lady right now. So yeah, man, I'm trying not to get hit by cars as they back up. I don't know what people are doing. But yeah, so this is one of them situations where, like, as you can clearly see, man, I'm unwavering in what I'm saying. I could be getting hit by a car and literally still have something to say about this. And I'm not even mad at people because we're all on edge in this city, man. Everybody's a little off right now, you know, like literally. All of us are being traumatized by this process. A lot of the people that I'm seeing right now, their head ain't in the game because it's them getting affected by this. So why, like, I'm not gonna get mad at the Spanish lady for accidentally backing into me when she's trying not to hit somebody else. You know, I'm not the litigious type. I don't adapt to that ideology that I'm supposed to be getting something from somebody just because people make mistakes, or because I don't have a lot, maybe I can get a lot. I'm not letting y'all follow me or drag me to hell with y'all, America. I'm not doing that, bro. That's what I want to say to y'all. Just because y'all agree to something, and anybody who follows me knows this is how we operate here. I'm not interested in following y'all culture down a path where I have a horrible reputation amongst people that I respect. If I'm gonna have a horrible reputation, it's gonna be amongst people that I do not agree with, who want to do bad things to other people. That's who I am fine with not liking me. People who want to tread on other people's rights, people who want to take things from people unjustly, people who want to hold people accountable for things they don't hold other people accountable for, all that type of injustice and imbalance. I'm very happy with those people being unhappy with me. But people that I respect, I don't want to tread on them or make them feel like I'm not doing my part. And this is why I speak on what I speak on, man. I'm really not interested in applause or anything like that. I'm just interested in making sure people understand that the way to treat people is with fairness, with balance, not with your trauma on your forefront of your sleeve, not with your fears and your ignorance on the forefront of your sleeve, but looking to express humanity toward people will ultimately inspire whatever humanity is going to be pointed at you. And if you can't adapt to that in everything that you do, then you're going to be doing something that ultimately inspires the opposite. And that is going to be your fault at the end of the day. I'm not interested in all the cultures that are supposed to teach me otherwise, because I can actually think for myself. I really can. And I'm cognizant of propaganda and different things that's supposed to make me hate people and make people hate me, being in place to tell people lies about me and tell me lies about them, and paint a picture of who I am versus who they are, and how I'm supposed to be at odds with them because of that, while not at odds with the people who are stirring all that up. I'm just not afforded, after 41 years of life and with the brain that I have, the opportunity to play stupid with this country in regards to all of these different things that it does. I don't care to really even lie to you guys about how proud I am to be an American. I don't feel I'm American. I'm a descendant of slaves. I'm a descendant of Native Americans. I am not proud of this. This is not a choice. It's not a choice. This is all I know. And while I'm here, I'm going to try to help others grow. I'm not interested in waving your flag and acting like it wasn't one of my ancestors who created that thing for you. As I've said on this camera many times, I've come to understand that the American flag was art created by a black woman. It came from her imagination. Just like a lot of different things that this country has ultimately chosen for itself. And what am I supposed to do? Sit up here and be offended at anybody waving a different flag without acknowledging that the flag that I wave was created by a forced immigrant, so to speak? While we pushing people away who ain't from here, I don't get to acknowledge that a good portion of my DNA was forced here against my will. When we start talking about who's breaking the law, are we ever going to start holding people accountable for creating laws that go against humanity? Or are we just going to keep on following them down whatever path they choose to put us on? You got people who don't respect the law, getting in positions, weaseling their way in positions to control the law, and then are allowing things to go into law that align with their demented and warped positions. And I see a bunch of people who don't appear to be able to think for themselves reinforcing this and claiming they're doing it because they're getting a paycheck, or claiming they're doing it because that's what the training is teaching them, and they don't deviate from the training. Like, I'm not afforded the ability to not be able to think for myself, nor am I afforded the desire, based on my faith and my understanding, that I'm supposed to allow others to continue on a path without being able to learn how to think for themselves. With a voice that I have, it's my responsibility to use that cognizance to shed light on those who would be willing to listen. Nothing good comes from making people angry at you unless the people that are angry with you are trying to provoke you in the first place, as to which they're already angry with you. They already don't like you. They're already unhappy with you. And they're only at peace with you if you're aligning with what it is that deteriorates you. If you're aligning with what it is that allows for them to deteriorate others without being held accountable. I am not interested in making those people feel better about what they're doing. No different than they're interested in making me feel better about their presence. It's not something I'm afforded the ability to ignore. I know exactly what I'm fighting for. Now on to another conversation. Flotilla. I guess someone's inserted a different point of view into my mind based on why they would be willing to offer themselves up to slaughter like this. Because I've been one of the few voices that have been somewhat critical of these people on the flotilla, because I think that there was a damn good chance, extremely good chance, that this would happen to them. They would be intercepted by Israel, maybe even murdered by Israel. We don't know how those people are doing right now, because yesterday Israel's ships caught up with them somewhere in the middle of the ocean, hit them with a bunch of white paint, I guess is what they did, to make it so that you could see out the windows. They caught them like in the middle of the night, like 2 a.m. their time, hit them with a bunch of white paint on the windows and all of that, boarded the ship, made them throw their phones overboard, and then I guess abducted them, took them somewhere. Hopefully that's all they did to these people. But my thinking is, initially, why are you offering yourself up to slaughter? We saw exactly what Israel did to the food, I don't remember the name of the coalition that brings food, World Food Association, I don't remember. But they blew up a couple of their cars with people in them, obviously. All these people were there to do was feed people in Gaza. These were civilian vehicles. And they killed the humanitarian people in them. And so my thing is, Israel had already shown you what time it is when it comes to this type of stuff. If you're going to try to feed their enemy, so to speak, they're going to take that as an act of war, and they don't have a problem killing you for it. And they're not interested in what shame could come about, because they got governments all over the world behind them, corporations all over the world owned by them. And so there's no shaming these people into respecting your life. And I think what has been inserted in my head was that because they took people with them on this ship from all different European countries and various different countries. The plan was either we're going to get some food to Gaza and to complete our mission, or we're going to raise awareness with the importance of our European lives being abducted by Israel to try to raise awareness for what's going on here. Because we too important for Israel to just kill. But here's the part that I think gets lost in this conversation. Your importance is not more important than the mission that they're on. And you are not going to get the support from the governments because those governments are in the back pocket of the people who are doing this. So when it comes down to raising awareness for the importance of your lives as you've been intercepted, now what you find out is the media is not talking about it. Your various governments that you come from, these countries, are not going to step over Israel to save you. What they have as leverage is the narrative, which is being pushed all over the world, that Hamas is terrorists and that anybody that helps Hamas is just a terrorist supporter. So anytime they go to talk about, hey, let's go get these people who have been abducted from Israel, they don't have to go get you. They don't have to cross the blue line, so to speak, to go get you. Why? Because the narrative protects them from ever having to do all that. The narrative, the same thing that allows for them to go on the UCLA campuses and extend riot police onto students for protesting genocide. It's a narrative that they get to stand behind to continue to keep up what they're doing. They don't have to respect nothing that comes against this process, because that narrative is what the government's official stance is in so many different countries, including all of the countries that those people represent. Their thing was, if we get abducted or killed, this will then make our countries divest from Israel. But they don't have to divest from Israel because they all are in unison with the narrative of the people that are ultimately standing across for them being terrorists. And so it's bulletproof. And that's my whole point. That's been my whole point. It's a bulletproof narrative that everyone in unison agrees to. Hamas is terrorists. And because of it, anybody that supports them, feeds them, helps them, cares for them, raises awareness about what's happening to them is a terrorist supporter. We don't have to support terrorist supporters. That is what the narrative is. You cannot offer yourself up to them because you have no protection at all. And that's what I would have told Greta Thunberg or whatever her name is and anybody else on that flotilla. Listen, if they catch you, they got full carte blanche from just about every government in the world to do whatever weird stuff they want to do to you. And they're not going to let you complete your mission. They're not going to let you complete your mission. You are offering yourself up to slaughter. If you want to be a martyr, that is what you are aiming for, but you're not aiming to survive this. Nor is your death going to be anything more than what ultimately comes of people who side with people the enemy calls the enemy, so to speak. If the government say, hey, this person's a terrorist, they're going to stand behind the narrative that essentially aligns with something that says that you are aiding and abetting a terrorist. That's what they're going to say. They're not going to say, oh my God, these are important people that this is happening to. Maybe we should raise awareness for what's wrong here. No, they just stand behind that narrative like they always do anytime somebody tries to hold them accountable for this. They stand behind the narrative. That narrative, though plenty debunked, so long as all of the collective powers that be stand on that lie and narrative, they allow themselves to stand behind the drawn lines of law in allowing for whatever it is that needs to happen in order for that lie to stay in place. It's not about what you can prove. It's what you have the leverage to enforce. That's what the world is showing us about how it works. Based on every law being respected by everyone. As long as we respect all the laws and all the ownership and all the writing contracts and stuff like that. As long as we stand behind those things as the end all be all, people will be able to use collective agreed upon lying ass narratives to ultimately allow for any and everything to take place, so long as that narrative isn't broken. And until people on this side of the fence come to understand that, they're going to always offer themselves up for slaughter, crossing that blue line. You're only going to raise awareness amongst those who are already aware. Your media ain't going to speak on this. Why? Because they're owned by the same people who are doing it. The same people who are concerned for you now are going to be the ones concerned for you after it happens. And that's what they're finding out. They're telling all of us who are already written off as terrorist supporters, written off based on the narrative, to call the officials of these representative countries to help these people. It's like, yo, they ain't listen to us any damn way. They ain't gonna listen to us. They don't have to, based on the narrative. They don't have to, based on what this country and this world rather is held up by, which is the agreement to laws, regardless of who writes those laws or how morally correct or incorrect, how imbalanced or balanced they may be, the laws and ownership, which is the end all be all to everything that holds this world together. This is why Israel's able to do whatever it wants without being held accountable, because those two things are honored beyond anything else. Honored beyond anything else. This is why you see ICE being able to do all this shit they doing, because those two things are honored beyond anything else. There is no way forward for the people but to break those laws and disrespect those ownership stance. And in doing so, we likely collapse our entire economy, which is ultimately what Israel stands behind in enforcing our government officials, enforcing our armies to continue doing their bidding. It's the fear of the collapse of what they own, which is literally damn near everything. They own everything. And because we respect ownership so much, they continue to enforce everything, whether moral or immoral, until we learn what battle we're actually fighting. We're going to always offer ourselves up for slaughter or stand out in the middle of the street docile, waiting for bullets to hit us in the head. That is not what this requires in order to be successful. It's not what this requires, man. And as long as we keep playing checkers this way, I guess you could call it checkers, since we're doing things going with the grain on this one rather than against it, you're going to always find yourself on the wrong end of the chess game they playing against you. We are docile by nature of what it is that we respect, which is laws and fear of losing money and losing what comes together for the collective agreement to ownership. I'm telling you, worldwide, not citywide, not countrywide, but worldwide, just overall stoppage is what ultimately is going to force the hand of those who otherwise are allowing this to happen. Because that's when ownership becomes at risk in general ownership. When you have a bad entity in control of all things, what needs to stop is what keeps them whole. And what keeps them whole is the fact that they get to hold everyone who's in power by the balls based on the collective concern for what happens when ownership is no longer respected. And a lot of us, especially here, are too greedy, too selfish, and too godless in terms of fear for what happens to us if we let these things go, to actually enforce what is necessary to be effective against this entity. But at some point, some generation is going to be forced to. And it's likely not going to happen until we get to a point where they've killed so many of us that we don't have nothing else to do but boycott and stop working and stop buying and stop even agreeing to use currency to get things done. We're going to have to go back to exchanging things and sharing things without the presence of currency to provide that. And how does that work? I don't know how that works, but that's the only thing that's going to hold these people accountable. It's the only thing that's going to hold them accountable is if we just literally stop using what they use as the leverage tool to control the world. Leverage tool. Because that's all these people at the top respect, is their bottom line. And none of us are warriors. None of, you know what I mean? A good portion of regular society is not hell-bent on hurting people or putting forth fear tactics together to force bodies into compliance like they do to us, using our own family members, trained soldiers, to hold us accountable for holding them accountable, which is what they're doing when they seek the the National Guard on citizens for whatever reason they're doing it. That's what it comes down to, man. And you got to stop working for these people. You got to stop taking what they have from you. You got to stop respecting what they own. You got to stop respecting these laws they put into place that are meant to keep you in a position and not hold them accountable. You got to stop all that. You got to stop all that. You can't wait for somebody else to do it. It's not going to happen. You can't be too afraid of what happens when we don't do it, because that's where we are. And I want to tell all these people who support all of this, if you don't have any power, they're just going to find a way to rope you all together too. You don't get to stand on the top of the mountain after all the Mexicans are gone and after all the blacks are in jail. You don't get to stand on top of the mountain. They're going to turn their attention to you and then start taking away your rights, start pushing in on your land, start disrespecting your ownership, take away your guns. That's what's going to happen to a lot of y'all. Because there is no privilege that is actually realized in this system. It's just the guise of superiority. That's not the reality of superiority. They're gonna put y'all to work or to death or something, like literally. Because there's a lot of y'all who are not strong of the mind, that you don't really understand, like, your enemy. And just like we say in our own communities, in black community, your enemy is not your brother. Your enemy is not your neighbor. Your enemy is these 1%ers who discard of you by the generation to build whatever it is that's going to make their lives and more powerful, more wealthy, and ultimately more comfortable. Allow for them to enjoy the fruits of their success and prioritize that luxury over your most basic human rights. And furthermore, try to use every psychological tactic that they can come up with, and that has already been working, to continue to reinforce how important it is that you fear anything that otherwise deteriorates that luxury and deteriorates that power structure. And then from there, they're going to continue to sell you the poison that ultimately you crave, that ultimately is going to kill you. That's what they do. That's what they've been doing. That's what it's always been. And that we haven't figured this out is why we're still in this mess. Now, I'll tell people, man, we need to start wisening up, man. Because a lot of people didn't care about nothing at all until it hit their doorstep, man. And I'm seeing a lot of that right now. Whole lot of that right now. Where's the humanity? Where was the humanity when the Palestinians was going through this? You didn't give a shit. You were cool. You were comfortable until it comes to your doorstep. Then you want everybody to drop everything, come to you. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You got to step up when it don't pertain to you. That's why I'm stepping up now. There's a lot of people who are representing themselves poorly, celebrating other people's downfalls if this ain't coming their way next. It is. It is. They coming to you next. While you sitting up here celebrating, feeding your racist demon. Good to see them. I hate them. I'm glad they getting it. They're coming to you next. They'll be on your doorstep soon enough. This two-party crap, man. Remember. AIPAC. ADL, Israel. Remember that. Don't look at Donald. Don't look at Joe. Those people don't have power, bro. It's the ones above them that are ultimately enacting all of this shit that you're seeing. All of it. And this is proven. This isn't hearsay. This is in the books that you're not reading. This is in the stuff you're not paying any attention to. Now look at people saying, oh, Donald did this. You should have brought it for the black woman. Man, if you knew what that black woman was up to, you'd know she ain't no different than Donald. She wasn't no different than Donald. She would have been doing the same shit in a different way. It may not have looked like this, but she was discarding of people. Her and Joe were discarding of people in Palestine while we were all raising awareness for it. They were sending out, as we've already mentioned on here, riot police to those who were trying to hold Israel accountable for this. They were treating them just like they treating the people who were standing up here in America, in California for this ICE debacle situation. But those who were standing against that were getting treated the same way the Palestinian protesters were. It's the same people doing the same thing to a different movement that they affect both the same way. As we mentioned yesterday in the shorter video, Israel is doing all of this. Donald Trump doesn't have a whole lot of power, just like Joe Biden didn't have a whole lot of power. Israel has all these idiots by the ball by way of what it is that they own. Israel is the hub for where they're at. It's really Zionism. Zionists, European Jews. They have bought up everything by way of everything that they've done, which is mostly break laws all over the world, robbing from indigenous people, robbing from hardworking people from the stock market, robbing from people in the housing market, selling people things, buying things that hurt people, that people ultimately crave, and selling it to them. All the different stuff that they've been doing, this is what they do. This is how they amass their wealth. And then they bought up every damn thing they could. Bought up every damn thing that you needed, everything that kept your country going, bought your government, and now everybody's afraid to hold them accountable for whatever they choose. And they just so happen to want to choose to commit genocide and promote the mindset of apartheid everywhere they can, so that white supremacy can reign in every corner of the earth. That's all it's about. It's all it's been about. Colonial practices. White supremacy is just another leg of white supremacy. I keep telling you, these people standing behind the Jew identity, but this is actually just white supremacy. That's all it is. These are white people. Okay? And they call themselves Jews, Ashkenazi Jews. I don't know how to pronounce that. These are white people, man, from Europe. European people, a good portion of them, and the people who look like me, who have been brainwashed into doing their bidding, just like we see so many people in this country doing that. Mexican ICE workers, all different type, black ICE workers, stuff like that. They always have people that they have brainwashed and raised to uphold white supremacy. It's still white supremacy. Because I know there's a narrative going around that because it's people who are black and people who are brown and all different types of colors of people that are enforcing this, that it's not white supremacy. No, it's white supremacy. They got people who doing their bidding for them. They got people who have sworn allegiance to them for reasons that are just probably just boiled down to people not being able to think for themselves, people not having a whole lot of love for themselves, people not understanding themselves or what their power is, people not understanding who their enemy is based on that brainwashing. Brainwashing. But it's still white supremacy, friends. Don't be confused just because you see people look like me upholding it. It's white supremacy. It's meant to uphold white people. Not just white people, but white elitists of many kinds all over the world. And this is just another leg of that. Just another leg of it. It's a lot of people who look like me just think they're joining the winning side. They don't see no use. Well, they hate their own people. You know what I mean? That type of thing. So they're going to go along with that. They're going to uphold that to their death, and they believe in it. And that's just what they're going to be. It doesn't take away from what the root of this is. We know what this is. And those who want to tell you it's not that, either confused by it or it's in their best interest to continue to try to take that reality away from the circumstances, like every other narrative of lies that's meant to distort the truth. That's just all that is. It's a distortion of reality. A lot of people just want to live their own lives, man. They just want to live their lives, man. They just want to live their lives. The problem is you just living your life, not acting like nothing is happening, just more or less reinforces the inevitable, which is that this is going to come to your doorstep soon enough. It's coming. This is coming to your doorstep. Whether you care, don't care, or what happens.
And your job.
Excuse me, brother.
You're learning.
Whatever happens, we are reinforcing it by being indifferent. And that's what people need to really believe and understand. You're reinforcing it. It gets stronger with the inevitability of your compliance. It gets more power with the inevitability of you working toward making it stronger. So that's what I have to say to people, man. Either you're going to stand or you're going to wait for it to come and mow you over. That's really it. The devil is a lie, and he's always going to make you feel like it's not you he's coming after, it's everybody else, and you're going to be safer when he finishes cleaning up. But when he's done with them, he's coming for you. And that is something I need every single soul to really understand and believe, man. Believe it before it happens. Because that's the problem with a lot of us. We don't believe it until it happens. And then it's like, oh my God, where's the humanity? It's like, no. The humanity's in your choices. When you make the decision to be human, that's when the humanity is present. Not when somebody else decides away from you that humanity is what it is. It's when you step up and become human. Then humanity follows there. If you're not going to be the good in the world, don't expect to see it. Bdf 44, thank you all for watching. I'm out.